Welcome to another episode of Raw Politics. Yesterday, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and the current president, William Ruto, met in Gatundu. As expected, there was a lot of analysis around that particular meeting. Some dismissed it as inconsequential, others decided to blow it out of proportion. Today, I want us to look at a scenario here. Let's say Uhuru Kenyatta decides to work with William Ruto. And by work, I mean he decides that he's going to do everything possible to bring back Mount Kenya into Ruto's camp. Because as things stand today, Mount Kenya is out of Ruto's camp. I told you, if you bring Raila on board, you lose Mount Kenya. So let us look at a scenario where Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to bring Mount Kenya back to William Ruto, while Rigathi Gachagua is trying to keep them as far away as possible from William Ruto's camp. In that particular battle, who wins? If that is a subject you are interested in, stay tuned. And if you're watching for the first time, please take a moment, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss subsequent videos. Otherwise, let us just jump right into the subject of the day. Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua fighting for Mount Kenya would be very interesting. It would be a repeat of 2022, but with a twist. You see, in 2022, Uhuru Kenyatta was fighting for Mount Kenya against William Ruto's influence, not Rigathi. Let nobody lie to you that Mount Kenya people voted for William Ruto because Rigathi told them. Actually, Rigathi was not their favorite. And to prove that Rigathi was not their favorite, when Rigathi rebelled with Ruto, whom did he hide behind? Do you remember? When Rigathi rebelled with Ruto, he hid behind Uhuru Kenyatta. That is why you saw him saying, we insulted our own son, we fought our own son, we were wrong, we apologize, moving forward, nobody's going to touch our son, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Uhuru Kenyatta is the king of Mount Kenya. Not because Rigathi loved Uhuru Kenyatta, he doesn't. Okay? There is no love lost between the two. Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi, they don't like each other. And it is very open for everyone to see. So why was Rigathi showering Uhuru Kenyatta with praises? Rigathi knew that to enter into the backyard of Mount Kenya, even though he was the deputy president, he was not the people's favorite. Okay? He looked for a way of getting back into the hearts of these people. And what did he do? Rigathi decided to elevate Uhuru Kenyatta, whom he had spent the few months after inauguration to destroy. Remember, it is Rigathi Gachagua who neutralized Jubilee and Azimio in Mount Kenya within few months, to the point that by the time Uhuru Kenyatta now had to leave the country, Jubilee was either fully in government or struggling to stay afloat. But Rigathi, sensing that fighting Ruto was a big mistake and he needed to have the people of the mountain behind him before he went on with this fight, what did he do? He started to praise Uhuru Kenyatta, calling him our son, accusing other people for misleading him and others to insult their innocent son and a good person. And he apologized for even the attacks on Uhuru Kenyatta's home and farm and the misbehavior at Mama Ngina's home, such things. Rigathi Gachagua was trying his level best to get into the good books of the people of Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya voters, just like any other group of voters, is mostly emotional. So if you look repentant, like you are wrong, you were misled, and now you are preaching about the unity of the mountain, you are preaching about bringing back your son, Uhuru Kenyatta and etc., and even elevating Uhuru Kenyatta to a king, you get them. And that is how Rigathi got back to Mount Kenya. Actually, he used Uhuru Kenyatta, used emotional blackmail, and got back into the heart of the people of Mount Kenya. But there's a mistake he made in this process. He also revived Uhuru Kenyatta. You remember, he had destroyed Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta was politically useless. I can tell you that. But Rigathi, in trying to use Uhuru Kenyatta to get back to the mountain, ended up elevating Uhuru to be the king of the mountain. And that is why when Uhuru Kenyatta was in Embu recently, you saw young people jumping around and cheering him on, something that would have not happened had Rigathi not elevated him to that status. In fact, it was so bad that the Rigathi who elevated him to that status did not get the same cheers that Uhuru was getting. And to make matters worse, Uhuru did not even recognize Rigathi's input. Okay? So this backfired on Rigathi somehow. However, Rigathi still has the Mount Kenya people behind him. Why? These people are, like I said, like any other political class in Kenya, a political group in Kenya, are very emotional. And they are persuaded that their son, Rigathi Gachagua, was hounded out of office unfairly. They don't want to face the fact that Rigathi Gachagua impeached himself through unnecessary arrogance and hubris. They are persuaded that their son was right. Their son should have been worshipped because they brought a lot of vote, and refusing to worship their son and getting him out of office was a crime that they will have to punish come 2027. Okay, fine, understandable. Now they are behind Rigathi Gachagua purely based on the sympathy they have for him. Whether this sympathy will last for long, I don't know. But one thing I know is that with Raila Odinga on Ruto's side, you don't have Mount Kenya. So, in a battle between Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua, for the soul of Mount Kenya, the winner is very clear. Rigathi Gachagua wins. It is that blunt, ladies and gentlemen. There is no magic Uhuru Kenyatta is going to pull to get the Kikuyus back to Ruto. However, there is some shred of hope. While he may not get the majority back to Ruto, should he choose to work with Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta can still influence a considerable number to vote for Ruto. He did that before. Remember, when he brought Raila on board, Mount Kenya, like they have done today, they walked out of that particular government. And Uhuru did virtually everything you could imagine to try and get them back. It did not work. For the first time, we saw a president calling interview with vernacular stations at State House. The president was filling every vacancy he could get with people from Mount Kenya. He started projects that were so futuristic and without money in Mount Kenya to appease these people. The president was almost relocating to Sagana Lodge just to appease these people, and it didn't work. However, it got him, and all this effort got Uhuru about 800,000 votes. And so this time round, Uhuru will not have to give goodies, etc. He will just have to rely on the fact that Rigathi had said that he knows what is good for the people. And so what Uhuru will be sharing is that, like Rigathi told you, I always know what is good for our community. Okay? And I can tell you that William Ruto means well for us as a community. And supporting William Ruto is the easiest way we can get back to power. Being in the opposition won't work. Something like that. Not majority won't buy into that, as I've told you. Majority will rebel. Even if Rigathi was to decide to come back to Ruto, they will still rebel. They will still be outside. Because for Kikuyus, if you bring on Raila Odinga, they leave. The only time Kikuyus appreciate Raila's support is when Raila is helping them get into power. That is the only time they are comfortable with him and can even call him names and even celebrate him. But once he has helped them to get into power, like the late Michuki said, MOUs and such agreements were just to help us get into power. Now that we are in power, we don't need such things. And that is how the Kikuyus would handle politics. If you help them get into power, fine. But if you want to come and join them in sharing the power, then they are not going to be very comfortable with that. And they have shown that anytime that they have tried to bring Raila Odinga on board to share power or to get some goodies from a government that perhaps they feel he opposed. In this case, Uhuru Kenyatta can bring Ruto maybe 1 million votes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a game changer, considering I told you that Ruto will, with Raila on his side, will win with or without Mount Kenya and Kamba votes. I've done the arithmetic for you in another video. So Uhuru Kenyatta bringing another additional 1 million vote is a game changer if he can do that. Because he can't bring the majority. But if he can bring what he brought to Raila, that is a game changer. Remember, Ruto can win without Mount Kenya. Imagine if he had additional 1 million. That is what we call a landslide victory, ladies and gentlemen. So, just as a recap, Uhuru's working with Ruto is beneficial in two ways. One, he can bring a considerable number of votes, maybe 800,000 or even a million, which will boost Ruto's numbers should he be working with Raila Odinga. Number two, Uhuru has a lot of influence on Kalonzo Musyoka, and Kalonzo is the candidate Rigathi wants to hide behind to teach Ruto a lesson. So if Uhuru can influence Kalonzo Musyoka to back Ruto, it would be a big blow to Rigathi Gachagua, because as of now, Rigathi can't vie. The Mount Kenya does not have a candidate that can win the presidency as of now. Okay? And so that is why they were hiding behind Kalonzo. But Kalonzo uh, is more on the side of Uhuru Kenyatta. So if he stays with Uhuru Kenyatta and he joins William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua will be with Mount Kenya as a rebel, but going nowhere. Now, no path to victory. If Kalonzo refuses and remains with Rigathi Gachagua, he says that, you see, I'm seeing Mount Kenya votes here, there's no way I can, for the first time, chances are that I can get the Mount Kenya votes, there's no way I can leave that particular voting block. Uhuru will deny him the finances for campaign, because Kalonzo Musyoka would be depending entirely or mostly on Uhuru Kenyatta's finances for his campaign. And so if Uhuru chooses to be with Ruto, he might deny Kalonzo the funding, which will really cripple Kalonzo's campaign. So it's that way. In a battle between Rigathi and Uhuru for the soul of Mount Kenya, Rigathi will emerge the victor because of Raila factor. Anybody who is associating with Raila, Kikuyus, and Mount Kenya people are going to rebel with you. And so in that case, Rigathi wins. But it is not a complete victory, because Uhuru will still get some loyalists who would have been on the side of Rigathi had Uhuru also endorsed Rigathi's onslaught against Ruto. So if he gets Ruto 1 million, he would have really dented Rigathi's base. That is all I wanted to share with you. If you found the video useful, let me know. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Let's meet in the next one.